TyreSafe has contributed to the reduction in numbers of people killed or seriously injured on Britain's roads by over 50%. But we have people coming to us and say, if that's the case, why do you need to continue to do what you do? Well, TyreSafe is also both factually and statistically led. So we also know that almost 1,000 people every year are killed, seriously injured or injured as a direct result of poorly maintained and defective tyres. And as we go through today's programme, we'll show you examples, speak to people from the front line who've experienced the cause and effect, and also share a story of one family who suffered a major tragedy in their lives as a direct result. But that 1,000 is a grossly underestimated number, because if you consider the amount of people who are affected by one single incident, all the family, all the friends, all those associates, that number is huge. So why do we continue to do what we do? Because one is still too many. Welcome to the TyreSafe Briefing 2021.
Good afternoon. TyreSafe campaigns to drive behaviour change amongst those motorists that aren't carrying out regular, routine tyre checks and who don't appreciate the importance of them. The following examples give us a great insight into just how much work there is still to be done in changing attitudes.
And the only reason it's come into us, otherwise it'd still be on the road, is because he's carried on driving with a puncture and the tyres popped. Just to show you, we see stuff like this on a daily basis. There's the front tyre, down to the cords, ready to pop. I see this on a daily basis.
In many ways, 2020 was a year of learning and reflection, and 2021 is an opportunity for us to take stock and look to a positive future. There was a growing appetite to review what, why, and how we do what we do, how effective we were being, and to review our objectives. And then we asked ourselves, if we were going to start from scratch today, would we be doing things any differently?
Then we looked at the bigger picture. We felt the need to up our game in mass awareness of TyreSafe and its tyre safety message. We engaged industry experts from the media world to review the options with a keen eye fixed on what would produce the best value for money. What we sought was engagement with the maximum number of motorists for the minimum of outlay. We considered TV and radio advertising, and of course, social media and online. Perhaps not surprisingly, the winner was online. We split activity into two sections, a paid social media drive, which will promote Tyre Safety Month this year also, along with enhancements to the website under the umbrella of SEO or search engine optimization. The results speak for themselves, and the benefits will run on, even when the money runs out. An aspect we wanted to introduce to our elements was a human focus, exemplified by our summer campaign. We used a studio to show various holiday scenarios for photography, which was then brought to life with the supporting videos. The resulting bright, clear and optimistic campaign materials brought a little sunshine into a year with plenty of gloom.
And I hate to say it, but that horrible pandemic, and it's still not over. But what does COVID mean for tomorrow's roads?
Hi, I'm Stuart Lover from National Highways. You may recall that we used to be known as Highways England, previously Highways Agency, but recently we've changed our name now to National Highways in recognition that we are linking the whole country together and we run the strategic road network on behalf of the government. Obviously, as we're returning now, we're coming out of lockdowns. We've been out of lockdowns now for several months, and our network, whilst we're not quite at the pre-pandemic levels, but we're pretty much now at 90% and at times over 100% of what we were in March 2020 when the pandemic hit. And we all remember those scenes of empty roads. What we saw as a result of the reduction in the number of customers who are using our network, we've naturally seen a reduction in the number of casualty collisions that were taking place. And the latest Stats 19 evidence is suggesting that obviously for the first time we've actually seen a significant reduction in casual collisions. Well, that's to be expected because we saw a lot less traffic volume on the network. So what we need to do is to be mindful that as we look at the historical data that's coming in from the police Stats 19 statistics, but also our own operational statistics around the causes of collisions, we're going to have to be very careful about how we analyse that data so that we are doing a fair comparison. And we're not just saying, oh, we've seen a reduction in casualties. So we will have to work with our partners such as the Department of Transport and maybe the Office of National Statistics to ensure that we have formulas in place that can give a meaningful understanding of what that data is telling us and to keep the country moving. What we're seeing now is increasing capacity. We're almost back to 100% capacity at holiday times and at other peaks. We are seeing sections of the network which are higher than 100% of pre-pandemic levels. Whilst the number of collisions that have taken place and the number of casualties has reduced, as to be expected when you've got less traffic volumes, less traffic on the road, we would expect to see that. So as we do the careful analysis of the data, we'll start to understand better what that data is telling us around the number of collisions and what could have been expected, taking into account the impact that COVID had on the traffic flows and traffic volumes. Within road safety, we always tend to look at a 3 to 5 year trend so that we can actually try to understand what that data is telling us. Well, now in the middle of that trend, we'll have this year's figures, which will be different to when we're in national lockdown, and then difficult to do a comparison to the year before that COVID hit. So at the moment, it's too early to say what that data will tell us. One of the requests that we would have to the public is that if you've not used your vehicle for a long time, it's important that you have the vehicle checked over. I'm not suggesting you do a full service, but certainly in relation to things like your tyres, it's absolutely important if you've not used your vehicle for a long time, and certainly before you go out on higher speed roads, and so your speeds are picking up. So it's important that your tyres are absolutely ready to go for the road.
Hello, my name's Tony Crook. I'm the Lead Officer for Road Safety for National Fire Chiefs Council, and I'm going to talk to you about the effects of COVID pandemic lockdown and the effects on road safety on the UK roads. As we are all aware, the roads went a lot quieter during the pandemic lockdown. I'm just going to read out a few road safety stats that you may be surprised with. During the peak in 2020, casualties were down a third. HGV use was down a half, while cycling increased by 300%. Yearly deaths were down 14% and killed and serious injured on our roads were down 16%. Approximately, there was a 40% increase in walking and cycling. However, some real negatives as well. Some drivers, irresponsible drivers, took the opportunity to use the quieter roads for excessive speeding and also excessive use of mobile phones, where we saw sadly some real tragic killed and serious injury events on our roads in the UK during lockdown that we as emergency responders, the fire sector, along with our partners from the constabulary and the ambulance, had to attend and deal with some real critical and traumatic incidents. So quieter roads, but still irresponsible drivers using the roads for speed and mobile phone use. Interestingly as well, I'll just read out some more information. The second lockdown had a lesser impact, with more drivers continuing to use our roads during the second lockdown. So obviously there was a lesser positive impact on the reduced killed and serious injuries on our roads. And you'll probably be aware that during the second lockdown, I think it had become more normalised. People was more likely to continue with some travel, where the first lockdown was quite a adhered to and strict lockdown, where the roads were absolutely absent of traffic. And that was a reduction in killed and serious injuries for us to attend and deal with the post-crash trauma following an incident on our roads. Additionally, the pause of the MOT requirement, I believe, had a knock-on effect on vehicle maintenance, including tyre safety. So when there was a pause in MOT because people couldn't get out and about, that did make people take their eye off vehicle maintenance. And it ended up where when drivers were returning to the road after lockdown, the vehicles were sometimes unprepared to be driven for long distances, and the maintenance, from very simple checks up to really risk critical maintenance, had not been kept on top of. And that includes MOTs being spent and not being renewed, and also tyre safety. So tyres were not checked. I know, talking to garage owners, that lots of people have been caught out and have not renewed their MOT. So if that's you, then get your vehicle checked for safety for the road, but also get it MOT'd. TyreSafe as well, people took their eye off the ball regarding tyres. Really important for TyreSafe. You should look at air pressure, tread and condition, and you should be undertaking that check once per month. So again, during lockdown and the return to the roads, I think vehicle maintenance and tyre safety in particular, sometimes your eye was taken off the focus of making your vehicle fit for the return to the road. So please ensure you do that your vehicle's fit and safe, and you won't become one of the killed and serious injuries on the UK road every year. Approximately every 20 minutes on the UK roads, somebody is killed or serious injured, and 5 people a day die on the UK road. So outstanding figures. So we've really got to be careful regarding our vehicle and our driving habits.
We experienced a massive change in our business owing to COVID, and the fact that visits to the depot were down. The mobile side of the business just went from strength to strength. People were realising that they could have tyres fitted at home without putting themselves at risk and coming to a garage. We made numerous changes to the garage to make people feel safe and secure, such as the fitting of these COVID screens that you can see. We have hand sanitizer. Before we take keys off a customer, we sanitize our hands. The credit card terminal, we wipe that down after use, mainly just to make the public know that we do take it seriously, and we are taking every possible step to make them feel safe.
Hi, it's Jamie Cole at Pro Tyre. We have seen a significant change in the business over the last 18 months, and a majority of that is the way the trading pattern has been affected by the MOT extension. Your usual busy period of April and May is now been pushed into September, October and November.
The postponement of MOTs did have a massive impact on the business. What we would generally see around MOT time is an influx of customers having their tyres checked and or changed in preparation of an MOT. With the extension, people were under the false lull of security, thinking that because their MOT was extended, that they could carry on driving on these tyres. When we were testing the tyres, it was clear that the tyres needed changing regardless of MOT status, but it did create a false sense of security for the public that because the MOT had been extended, then so was the need to replace the tyres.
I think, like everybody, the lockdown one did affect us in a massive way, with the MOT extension pushing everything past August. We saw a lot of cancellations. Obviously, it was essential travel only in sort of late March, April and May. So we saw business in April drop to around about the 40% mark, and it steadily increased in May, and then sort of June, July, we started seeing it come back to sort of similar trading levels than it has been in the past. Did we notice owners taking advantage of the MOT postponement? Yes, we did see customer numbers massively affected. MOT numbers dropped to an all-time low, and people were generally worried about leaving the home and following the government advice of essential travel only. Yes, we did notice that tyres were in a worse condition when they were presented for tests after the extension. There's a lot of people still carrying on with a similar mileage than they were doing before, but they were getting 6 months extra MOT, which is 6 months extra driving, and they weren't changing tyres at at 3mm like they would have done in the past. A lot of people were trying to push the tyres to, you know, the legal limit, 1.6, and in a lot of cases we were seeing, you know, a lot of failures, and they were, you know, massively illegal tyres.
We definitely seen an uptake in the amount of tyres being presented that really should have been changed and would have been changed further if sticking to the standard MOT schedule. Since the pandemic has come to an end, or is coming to an end, we've seen the buying attitude has changed massively. We're receiving double the number of inquiries over part-worn tyres. People are trying to save money wherever they can. This is not helped with the rising cost of tyre disposals, the rise in shipping costs, the rise in fuel costs. So because prices are going up and up and up, people are trying to save money where they can. And unfortunately, this is playing into the hands of the part-worn tyre merchants.
And as you know, with Pro Tyre, we are against the sale of part-worn tyres and always will be. And our guys are very much pushing that message.
Part-worn tyres, or should I say part-safe tyres. With the economic situation as it is, this is again an area of growing concern for us. When we did our investigation, we looked at 278 part-worn dealers, of which 261 were non-compliant. That's 94%. We inspected 528 tyres, of which 334 were unsafe. And when it comes to tyre age, we found 114 tyres that were over 10 years old, and one tyre, the oldest tyre, was 29 years old and still on sale. You have to ask the question, why would a professional, reputable tyre dealer want to sell a product when they don't know its history, they don't know if it's safe, and it hasn't been through its regulation checks and stamped, fit for purpose, before it goes on sale? Or maybe that question should be, why would a professional, reputable tyre dealer not want to be a part-worn dealer? Now, I can't answer that question, but I know someone who can.
So I'm outside my old garage, which is on an industrial estate in St Helens. This is where I started my tyre dealership some 6 years ago. From here, we done primarily part-worn tyres. We done new tyres as well, but naively, when I ventured into the business, thought there was big money to be made from part-worn tyres, and we sold a lot of them from here. We did make a lot of money. I regret it now. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. As I say, naive then. Didn't know then what I know now, but we've massively moved away from part-worns, and for all the money in the world, I wouldn't sell a single one again. The equipment that we had was second-hand tyre machines that we bought when I was first starting off. Believe it or not, I trained myself in tyre fitting. I had a mechanic show me the ropes, watching YouTube videos, everything else, but it's so easy to come into this industry untrained, unregulated, and a lot of the business that we've driven past today are still operating as cash-only businesses. Give me my due. Back in the day, I was still a limited company, still paid taxes, but it's so easy to operate under the radar on an industrial unit like this in the middle of nowhere and make an absolute killing on part-worn tyres. There was a multitude of things that stopped the business from part-worn. A lot of it was negative press, but one of them was a meeting with Frances Malloy. Frances Malloy is a lovely woman, and the impact that dangerous tyres has had on her life. She lost her son with an 18-year-old tyre. From meeting that woman, from hearing her story initially, that was basically the straw that broke the camel's back. From that day on, I decided that we would never again sell a part-worn tyre. The standard of tyres that are going on in this area is poor. It is very, very poor. We see tyres that I do videos on a regular basis turning up some 18, 19 years old, perished, illegal sidewall repairs, winter tyres, part-worn, run-flat tyres. It really does need the industry to step in and come and regulate it and heavily enforce. I think what's appealing for part-worns is you can make a lot of money from them. The reason you can make a lot of money from them is because the majority of part-worn dealers are buying tyres direct from scrapyards. So you're paying £5 for the tyre, you can sell it for anything up to £80 that we've seen. However, it just doesn't sit right with me. I'm a husband, I'm a father, as well as being a businessman, and my moral integrity just wouldn't allow me to sell part warns, not for any cost. So you'll see this is on the same street as us. It's less than, I'd say, 300 meters away, and if you look to the right, we won't name the business, but their tagline is specialist in part worn and new tyres. So that is within earshot of me and 50 meters away from a police station. But less than 3 minutes away from the last part worn tyre garage, there's another part worn tyre garage.
It's just an unusual place for
it's in the middle of a residential housing area. It's just a shed at the back of it. We seen a chap working on the roadside there, fitting a tyre, which was probably a part worn, and that's less than 3 minutes away from my garage. And then just around the corner from this one, so not even 30 seconds away, we have another part worn tyre merchant on the left hand side, who also, believe it or not, offers a mobile fitting on part worn tyres too. So we're still in the town centre. We've just come back from one of the other part worn dealers. So realistically, this is 2.5 minutes away, but there's another tyre dealer on my right hand side now who does car, truck and also part worn tyres as well. Again, this is less than a mile away as the crow flies from Stone Tyres and prevalent in part worns. As the crow flies, we're less than 1.5 miles away from Stone Tyres. We're on a busy road on an industrial estate, and on the right hand side we've just gone past a part worn tyre dealer, 2 part worn tyre dealers which happen to be scrapyards. So it's clear to see what's happening here. The cars are coming in, having the tyres removed and offered for sale through the separate sides of the business. 100% part worn. We're again less than 5 minutes drive from the garage, and we've just come to another area, and on the right hand side we've got another unit which is advertising new and part worn tyres. They are a part worn specialist and a run flat specialist. So not only are they selling part worns, they're selling part worn run flats, which is equally dangerous because 1, you shouldn't really repair them, and 2, you can't test the structural integrity of a run flat tyre. So we are on a main road on the way into St Helens town centre, and we are just passing on our right hand side another car wash. What is unique about this car wash is there's a big massive sign outside saying any tyres £10, part worn tyres £10. These are people who are clearly not trained in tyre fitting, who wash cars day in day out. There's a stack of tyres there that are covered in moss, algae, water and everything else, and you can have them fitted for the bargain price of £10.
Hello, sir.
Hello there.
How are you doing? All right?
Yeah, I'm looking for some tyres for my grandson's car, yeah.
Do you know what you're looking for?
A tyre.
A tyre?
Hold on, what's that? What are those chunks missing?
Well, there's a few little blemishes. Hang on, what's to say? Yeah, there's a couple of little chunks missing, you know. Fantastic. Look, what's it say here? Only 1 nail. Keep your distance. If the tyres don't stop you, the car in front will.
Only 1 nail? What do you mean only 1 nail?
Only 1 nail, sir. Let's have a look. Oh, there it is, look. Oh, that's just a little nail, look. Possible loss of vehicle control. You know, I mean, if you were to drive on it, then your next journey could well be in an ambulance.
I don't believe it. You're trying to sell me a tyre that's got a nail in it.
Next journey in an ambulance.
Good, that's great.
Shall we put it on for you now?
How could you sell stuff like that?
As you can tell, there's a genuine concern that one of the negative outcomes of this pandemic is going to be an increased demand for part-worn tyres. Just to be clear, TyreSafe does not promote a ban on part-worns. But what we do want to see are competent retailers and a reduction in the number of dangerous tyres being supplied into the market. Driving with tyres below optimal roadworthiness can have tragic consequences, as Megan's story has made all too clear to all of us. Earlier this year, we shared Megan's story. A tragic real-life story of the Byrne family and the tragedy they suffered at the loss of their daughter. The family, and in particular Megan's parents, showed incredible courage by supporting us in being able to tell their story and raise the awareness of the need for tyre checks. We thank them for all they have done to raise awareness of tyre safety. Regular tyre maintenance and tyre safety checks protects you as a driver and the occupants of your vehicle, but it also protects other road users around you. In part 2 of Megan's story, we're going to talk about the surviving driver, a side of road safety tragedies that's not often heard. And this story is being told with the full support of Megan's parents. This is Heather's story.
My name's Heather. I was the driver of the other vehicle that was involved in Megan's crash last February. I'd come onto the Grain Road. I'd just gone past the Grey Mare pub when I saw Megan's car lose control, and then felt the impact of the crash. And the next thing that I knew after that was I could hear my horn going, and I could hear my daughter crying. And I don't remember getting out of my car. I don't remember walking around the back of my car, opening the car door, turning a car seat, getting her out. Literally, I heard the horn going and her crying in the back. And the next thing I remember was just being stood in the middle of the Grain Road, away from my car, because the impact had been so much that I genuinely thought that my car was going to set on fire. So I was a distance from my car, holding my baby, and one of the eyewitnesses said, which I'd forgotten until I heard him saying, that I was just crying, saying, "My baby, my baby, my baby." For a long time, to begin with, I kept asking my other half, my mum, my friends, and saying, "What would you have done if that happened to you when you were driving? What would you have done?" And they all said the same, that they wouldn't have done anything differently. I saw her car lose control. I went to put my foot on the brake. Whether I did or not, I mean, she was very close to me at the point of her losing control. And then I got to a point where I could say that I wasn't at fault, but I didn't believe it. And that lasted a long, long time. And it doesn't make it any easier, the fact that she lost her life. Although it wasn't me that was at fault, I've got a lot of somebody described it as survivor's guilt, that I feel really guilty that I'm still alive, even though I really want to be. And I've got my daughter to live for, and my other half, and my family and my friends. I want to be here, but I feel guilty for the fact that I'm still here and she's not. And that's really hard.
My name's Steve Hardman. I'm a sergeant on the Serious Collisions Unit with Lancashire Constabulary. My relation with this investigation is I was the senior investigating officer on duty that day and overseeing the investigation. This is one I'll remember because when I attended at the scene, you could see the devastation, and the devastation I mean in the faces of the emergency services that were there when I arrived. The scene had been closed off, as we do with most serious road traffic collisions, but the devastation was clear on the emergency services faces when I arrived that this was a tragic accident. I mean, I've been doing this job for 26 years now. Certain collisions will always stick with you. This is one of them because of such a beautiful young girl who lost her life from what could be an incident that could have been preventable. It stays with me because of the impact it's had on my team. As we say, the strength of Heather, somebody who's often forgotten in the other party that's involved in these collisions, and the impact it has on them, and also the other emergency services that attended. Like I say, I think it's a collision that none of us will forget.
Check your tyres, please check your tyres. It's something that since I've been able to get back to driving, I do it when I fuel up once a month. I do it then, and then I know that it's done regularly. Check them before long journeys. It's so important. And if somebody else's life can be saved as a result of this, then that at this point that can kind of be all that we ask for, really, I suppose.
Honestly, doing the interview with Heather, as it was with Megan's parents before, was a heartbreaking experience for both Stuart and I. The production of the videos and assets has also had a profound emotional impact on the entire TyreSafe team. That underlines just how far the repercussions of these incidents reach. But let's just take a second here to acknowledge the bravery shown by Heather, John and Joe for sharing their tragedy in a bid to save lives. All of them have our admiration and gratitude.
As I said earlier, TyreSafe is both factually and statistically driven. But to be that way, we need to rely on good quality data. And I'm pleased to announce we're partnering with National Highways in a new initiative to look at post-collision research. And to take us through that is someone who's no stranger to TyreSafe or the TyreSafe briefings, Stuart Lovett of National Highways.
We're really delighted that TyreSafe came to us and suggested a piece of research which has never been done before. So the fact that this piece of research will be so innovative, and what we want to do is we want to look at collisions that have taken place on the strategic road network, and working with our partners through the National Police Chiefs Council and also supported by the National Fire Chiefs Council. What TyreSafe are proposing is that we will go into the compounds where the police have recovered the vehicles to, and we'll look at the actual causation of crashes to try to identify, for the first time, the impact that tyre failure may have had. So whether that is around the condition or tread depth or even pressure, such as what we found with Megan's story, that pressure was a predominant causation of the actual preliminary crash, which obviously led to catastrophic injuries. So by working with TyreSafe experts who can go into these compounds in a very safe and secure, isolated environment, they can take the time to do in-depth investigations that perhaps would not have been done because of the we're not going to be looking at the more serious collisions. So anywhere where there's a fatality or the police are still looking at maybe evidential or subsequent prosecutions, we won't be looking at that. So this is just where there's been a collision that may or may not have resulted in casualties, but we want to actually try to identify the scale of the impact that tyres, tyre condition, tyre tread may have had in that. And then from that, we can work with our colleagues across the emergency services, but also with the new Forensic Collision Investigation Network, to start to raise awareness of the need to be doing more checks once the collisions have taken place. And then we'll be able to, hopefully, working with TyreSafe and with our other strategic partners, we can start to raise awareness of the importance of making sure that your tyres are safe. What is the severity of impact of collisions where tyres have been an integral part in that collision? Because the investigations, the evidence is just not there. So we've recently gone through the national review of the Stats 19, but they won't be breaking that down into the different causes, or in the case of Stats 19, the contributory factors. So for those of you who may not know, that when the police actually attend the scene and there's been a casualty, so it's a casualty collision, they can record up to 6 contributory factors. Now, they may well just put tyres down as a contributory factor, but that does not give us detailed intelligence to understand what that cause was. So again, was it air, was it condition, was it tread, was it as a result of them being second-hand defective tyres that have been placed on the vehicle? So we just don't know, because as you say, Jason, the whole point is the police will just record it as a tyre defect or a tyre issue in relation to the contributory factors that led to the accident. So what we want to do with a series of research proposals working with TyreSafe is to actually try to better understand and to gain better intelligence so that we can direct more resource, better resource, more targeted resource to engage not only with our partners, with our customers, but also with the emergency services to start to raise awareness of the scale of this problem, which at the moment we really don't know.
In redefining our objectives, we saw an opportunity to be able to work closer with those at the coalface and the benefits of hearing directly from both the retail and independent sector. So today I'm delighted to announce we're also launching a new initiative to include an independence group as part of the TyreSafe organisation. And to take us through that is the person who will be the ambassador for the new independence group, John Stone.
So what we've decided to do is set up our own group for independence, where we will come together periodically, say every 2 or 3 months, discuss ideas, strategic plans moving forward, and how we can improve the offering out there, raise awareness, and get the message out there of tyre safety. Just to clarify again, this isn't a commercial group, this isn't for us to promote our own businesses, but what it does do is show the customers and the public that we are conscious about tyre safety. It gets the message out there and shares the responsible side of our businesses. So the objectives of the group is to give you a bit more background on how TyreSafe works. It's to encourage greater use and sharing of the assets and messagings that are provided by TyreSafe, give the group members a better insight on TyreSafe's activities, features and campaigns, and identify opportunities which can enhance us as retailers' ability to leverage assets or gaps in the current offering that we're putting out there. So what are we actually going to be talking about in this group? The good thing is it's an adaptive group, and although we've already got a structure for it, this will change based upon feedback and input from the members. So we're going to be responding to members' own questions and suggestions that we'll have submitted in advance. We'll have stuff like a members spotlight with case studies, again how to leverage TyreSafe assets and promote tyre safety awareness, and then stuff that is close to my heart, the advice on use of communication, medium channels such as LinkedIn, videos, social media, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Okay, so the steering committee has been set up for us to feed back all this information into TyreSafe. I'll be chairing the meeting, which will feed all this back. What they want to hear from us is stuff that we're seeing on a regular basis from the coalface, all us true independents. There's a few requirements, obviously. One of them is a NDA. We'll all be signing a non-disclosure agreement, which I'm sure we will all agree is necessary. The other requirement is that if you're not already, you must be an official supporter of TyreSafe. It's really easy to sign up, and I would encourage you to do that. It just adds that air of professionalism about your business and also shows the public that you are a responsible business. So, to summarise, this is a fantastic opportunity for you to come on board and be part of the TyreSafe family. Not only do you get exclusive stuff like unique logos which you can use to enhance the professionalism of your business, but it genuinely is your chance to become part of a really reputable organisation whose passion really is for tyre safety. Next week we kick off with our first TyreSafe meeting. I would encourage everybody to be there. It's going to be on Thursday at 2 o'clock. All the meetings for TyreSafe are Thursday at 2 o'clock, so I would encourage everybody to leave this space free in their diary and come on board and be part of TyreSafe.
In looking at social media and the objective we have of maximising our visibility, there is one area we haven't yet touched: podcasting. So I'm delighted today to announce a third new initiative, and that's the introduction of podcasts to the TyreSafe Toolbox. And that will include our past, current and future portfolios.
Thanks for taking the time to enhance your tyre safety with TyreSafe. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Amy, and today we're going to be showing you how to carry out a check on your tyre's tread depth.
Now, the minimum requirement for a tyre's tread depth in the UK is 1.6 millimetres for all four-wheeled vehicles up to 3.5 tonnes.
And that's not just for cars and vans, it's actually for caravans and trailers as well, isn't it?
That's right. And if your tyre has less tread than 1.6 millimetres, you could face a fine of £2,500 and 3 points on your licence.
And that's actually for each tyre.
The reason why penalties can be served so highly is because your tyre's tread is the only point of contact between the road surface and your vehicle in wet weather.
So when it's been raining, your tyres need to be able to cut through that standing water, and it's the tyre's tread that enables them to do this.
That brief excerpt from the checks is just an example of the kind of podcast that TyreSafe will be putting together. These will be hosted at tyresafe.org and available for download through Spotify and Apple. Now back to Stuart for the most significant piece of content TyreSafe puts together each year.
Now it's time to talk about one of our favourite subjects in the briefing: the launch of Tyre Safety Month. And what's the theme going to be for 2021? And what are those all-important assets going to look like for 2021? And all you've got to do is sit back and watch and listen. Come on. What's stopping you? we've created a brand new toolbox of assets for you to use to make Tyre Safety Month 2021 successful. New posters, a new social media campaign, new web banners, leaflet, with a smart new double-edged message supported by impactful video. So I'll ask you again, what's stopping you? And to support you even further, to help you make tyre safety checks easier to understand for your customers, to help make Tyre Safety Month even more successful, and to help us all to educate drivers, we're introducing our new TyreSafe Tyre Checker app.
We're genuinely delighted to be able to launch the long-awaited initiative to support the fire services. Every year, services around the country conduct car washes to raise money for ex-fire service officers. I hand you over to Tony Crook, the NFCC lead on road safety, to explain how TyreSafe is helping to support.
So the National Fire Chiefs Council has worked long and hard with firefighter charity, with Highways England and TyreSafe, and we're just about to release a guidance note for the fire sector. So when we carry out fire washes on our fire stations for supporting the firefighters charity, which looks after firefighters and the families, we can give vehicle maintenance and road safety advice, and in particular we can check your tyres and make sure your tyres are fit for the road. TyreSafe have done a great handout leaflet for us, and we'll be using that during these events.
Selected TyreSafe retailers are proud to be supporting this initiative, offering a 10% discount for those motorists who use the fire service car wash. Participating retailers will be listed at tyresafe.org. At tyresafe.org, fire service can also customise the leaflets and have an automatic download in PDF form, either as print ready with their logo on or without. Details will be shared with you directly. Let's move on from new initiatives to new technologies, specifically those concerning tyres for electric vehicles. While this technology has been emerging and available in the marketplace for some time, there are significant differences, some of which are developing all the time. Owners of vehicles that are powered by electricity should be aware that there are significant differences in the tyres fitted to their vehicle. There are a range of factors which are important to choosing the right tyre for an electric vehicle. The vehicle's weight is just one, as it influences the amount of air pressure required to keep a tyre in its optimal shape, along with the stiffness of its sidewall and even its centre section. EVs are well known for being heavier than petrol or diesel equivalents, so an owner must take the load rating into account when they're replacing their tyres. Another thing to take into account is the rolling resistance of a tyre, if an owner wants to make sure that they're getting the maximum range from their vehicle. Minimising roll resistance while providing adequate grip seems like a contradictory requirement, but this is actually a key performance characteristic for EVs to ensure that they can get the most mileage from every charge. The tyre also needs to be pretty strong and robust, because an EV is producing maximum power from standing. This places high demands on the rubber compound, which needs to be of the right mixture of components and have the appropriate tread pattern as well, to provide a lifespan comparable with diesel or petrol vehicles. One of the great things about electric vehicles is how quiet and refined they are when on the road. The last thing you want to be doing is experiencing a lot of tyre noise from the road as you're driving along. So owners should also be aware that if they're comparing an ordinary tyre with one that's designed specifically for EV, they may well find that they're not getting the ultimate refinement that they might be able to. All sorts of technology goes into this, even including damping within the tyre itself. So once again, there's a key difference here that EV owners should be aware of when choosing their tyres. This is just a quick overview of the differences between tyres for electric vehicles and those for combustion engine ones. The full details and explanation can be found under the About Tyres section on TyreSafe.org. I encourage you to have a look at it. It's interesting reading. Tyres for electric vehicles is a technology that's available in the here and now. But let's take a look further down the line and see what the future may bring for tyres, and in particular tyre safety, as we move towards full electrification of automotion and ultimately autonomous vehicles.
This is not a tyre. This is a virtual prototype, one of thousands we use to design and test before our chemists and engineers ever make the real thing. All so we use less resources and can give you a better, more sustainable kind of tyre. One created with less emissions, less waste and stronger materials. More energy efficient and lighter than ever before. Stronger, longer lasting and using less materials. Near silent. Keeping you going no matter what, even in the event of a puncture. And letting you run with air or no air at all. Connected and smart, instantaneously adapting the vehicle to road conditions, tyre wear and performance, getting you where you need to be, safely, efficiently and without interruption. This is a tyre designed to meet the vehicle of tomorrow and contribute to a more sustainable future for all of us.
Green and energy efficient. GT's low rolling resistance green and eco-friendly technologies reduce energy consumption, saves fuel, and protect the environment. The low rolling resistance compound reduces friction between rubber molecules, which lowers energy consumption. Computational contour deformation analysis and rolling resistance prediction technologies result in structural designs with optimized deformations. This means less heat generation, saving fuel and better protection for the environment.
it's winter or summer, you're in the city or the mountains. It's a concept tire designed to let you start something great. At the core is a reloadable and biodegradable tread compound that can be recharged with individual capsules, radically simplifying the process of replacing your tires. The customized liquid in the capsules recharges the tire tread, enabling the tire to adapt over time to climatic circumstances, road conditions, or simply how you want to travel. Harnessing the power of nature, the tread compound is reinforced with fibers inspired by one of the toughest natural materials in the world, spider silk. It helps to build a tread that is both extremely durable and sustainable. The tread is supported by a lightweight, non-pneumatic frame and tall and narrow shape. This is a thin, robust, low-maintenance construction, symbolizing Goodyear's vision for the future of advanced mobility. The Goodyear Recharge is a concept tire without compromise, supporting personalized, sustainable, and hassle-free mobility. Goodyear, shaping the future of electric mobility.
As you can see, reducing the environmental impacts of tyres, addressing the issue of tyre replacement, and the introduction of enhanced safety features are all technologies that we can look forward to in hopefully the not too distant future. Looking to the immediate future, we now have some important news on further research to be carried out in 2022. Our tread depth at the point of replacement survey with our partner National Highways provided a report of the state of the nation's tyres. It was a significant piece of work which informed some of the nation's key road safety stakeholders. To announce an update on that research, I'm delighted to introduce Stuart Lovett once again, National Highways lead on road safety.
It's now been 5 years since we did our last big national tread depth survey, and we think now is an excellent time, working with the industry and working with TyreSafe and its partners, to actually undertake this tread depth survey once again. Over 800 participants took place in that survey last year. So one of the things we'd like to ask today, in support of TyreSafe and its members, we would like you all to come on board and to let TyreSafe know of your willingness to take part in this survey, which will take place probably beginning in late spring of next year, 2022. So there'll be plenty of advance warning, but if you can be contacting TyreSafe now to let them know of your willingness to support this, because the more partners that come on board, the more garages that are helping us to understand what is the state of the nation's tyres. In 2016, some 25% of vehicles that had already made that choice to go in at point of sale to replace the tyres. So somebody had already made that decision, I think I need my tyres checked. Already 25% of those, 1 in 4 tyres that we looked at, was already illegal. And in some areas when that was even higher. But also what we were seeing is that under the 2 mil, so when you really need to be thinking about, I need to be thinking about getting a new tyre now, in some areas that was in the order of 70% were already below 2 mil, which of course is fine. But one of the things that we don't know is the impact of recession, the impact of COVID. And as finances are squeezed as a result of what's been happening, are people still making that choices now to go in there and have the tyres checked? Do we need replacement tyres due to the running down of the tread depth? So we think this is a good time next year, once things have settled down even more than they are now, is to work with the industry to actually understand what's actually happening out there, what's happening on the roads, and we'll work with our partners then to communicate that message. We've already approached one of our big strategic partners through Loughborough University. We'll be looking to work with them and the engineering department there to analyse that data and to understand what that data is telling us, and to then produce some sound statistical evidence that we can then help to communicate, not only through government bodies and emergency services and through road safety partners, but actually you could use this to communicate this as part of your communications within your companies, to say now's the time to get your tyres checked, now's the time to come in there, because we do know, and I'm certainly on the back of the post-collision survey that we will have undertaken by that time, is we'll be able to link the two together. There is an absolute causation between tyre defects, tyre tread depth, tyre wear, and potential risk when you're out there driving up on the network. Contact Jason and the TyreSafe team and let them know that you'd be wanting to take part in this new survey, because the more that take part, the bigger evidential sample we will have, so the clearer it will be the intelligence that we'll capture from this, and we can work out how then do we need to communicate this research and what more we need to be doing to raise awareness.
Thanks very much for that, Stuart. It's great news, and we hope all TyreSafe supporters will get involved. Further details will be forthcoming.
And talking of the future, by the time you see this, we've already been planning for next year. So what else might TyreSafe be doing in 2022? Here's a few teasers just to give you a hint of what you might expect.
I hope that's piqued your interest. This time next year, all should become clear. That's it from me. I hand you back over to Stuart to close out the briefing.
Thanks, Jay. Well, that wraps up the TyreSafe briefing for this year. Thank you all for joining us. We purposely haven't done an online Q&A session, but we'll be happy to take any questions you may have to the team at TyreSafe email address and publish any questions and answers online. Next year, we are determined to have a face-to-face event, and we look forward to extending a warm welcome to you all. And remember also, the submissions for the TyreSafe Awards need to be in tomorrow. So if you want to be in it to win it, you better get cracking. Go on. What's stopping you? Until we see you again, take care, stay safe, and of course, stay TyreSafe.